A knee replacement costs $50,000. And here's what the surgeon won't spend much time on. That check only buys back about 80% of the life you had before. Most men are making that trade right now. They just haven't seen the bill yet. It starts on a random Tuesday. You reach for something, a grandkid who wants to be lifted, a heavy bag, a flight of stairs, and your body hesitates. Something in the back of your mind says, when did that start? It didn't start then. It started back when you were heads down, when the days were full and the body was sending signals you didn't have time to deal with. The lie most men bought without knowing it? That if you made enough money, you could just fix the body later. The repair shops are crowded now. The costs have gone up, and money is running into the one thing it genuinely cannot do. The money is only part of the story. What's really at stake isn't the bill. It's the years of unnecessary suffering most men walk straight into without ever knowing they had a choice. That's exactly what we're getting into today. The trade they didn't price for you. Your body had a window, a stretch of years when putting on muscle, strengthening bone, building your heart, all of it was working at its best. That window was wide open during the exact years most men were doing everything else. Back then, put the work in, get the results back. Once that window starts to close, that changes. You start losing muscle at roughly 3% a year. Your body starts needing a lot more protein and a lot more recovery time, just to do what it used to do on less. The earlier you put it in, the more you get back. Most men figure that out later than they'd like. Here's the one thing that never changes. Push your body, it responds. Work the bone, bone gets denser. Work the muscle, muscle comes back. Push your heart adapts. What changes is how much you get back for what you put in. When the career was full speed, the body was easy to work with. You didn't have to do much to see real results. As the years go on, it asks for more just to hold the same ground. More protein, more effort, more recovery time, just to get what used to come pretty easily. The window isn't closed. It's just more expensive to get through. And every year you wait, it costs a little more. Every year you didn't do much, you moved the starting line back. So when you finally decide to do something, you're not starting from neutral. You're starting from behind. And that doesn't just show up in money, it shows up in the morning. Getting out of bed becomes something you have to think about. The walk that used to be nothing starts to feel like something you plan your day around. Things you used to just do, you start thinking twice. Then you just stop doing them. Not because you decided to quit, because the body quietly changed the deal without telling you. Most men call that getting older. A lot of it isn't. A lot of it is the bill coming due on years of skipped payments, and a big chunk of it didn't have to happen. That's what wasn't priced for you. What isn't in any catalog. So the natural move is, fine, I'll just spend the money now. Get a trainer, fix what needs fixing. Not a bad instinct. But there's a wall, and you need to know where it is before you count on the money to save you. The surgery, say it's a knee, gets you back to about 70 to 80% of where you were before things went wrong. Not 100, 70 to 80. That's not the surgeon failing. That's just what the money can buy at that point. And some things money flat out can't touch. The way your body learned to balance itself over decades of moving around. The way your nervous system figured out where you are in space. That doesn't come in a package. It gets built slowly, over years of just being physically alive. Now think about what it would have cost to just stay in decent shape along the way. Men who kept themselves reasonably active end up spending a lot less on healthcare after they stop working. Thousands of dollars a year. Over 20 years of retirement. That's real money that stayed in the account. It was always going to get spent somewhere. Maintenance now or repairs later. But forget the money for a second. Think about what that missing 20 to 30% actually looks like day to day. It's the trip you pass on because you're not sure your body can handle the walking. It's the golf game that goes from 18 holes to 9, and then one day just stops. It's sitting on the sideline at your grandkid's birthday because getting down on the ground and back up isn't simple anymore. The long list of things you used to do without thinking, that became things you think about, and then quietly stopped doing. That's not an inconvenience. That's what your days are made of. And a lot of it didn't have to go that way. Then there's the stuff completely out of reach for money. When your balance goes, falls become the real danger. And a bad fall at that stage of life isn't just a medical issue. It's often the thing that changes everything. The quiet version doesn't make the news. It's the guy who just starts moving less, gets more careful, gets more still, loses ground slowly in a way that never gets called a crisis because it never shows up as one. You can't buy back what wasn't put in. You can start putting it in now. But that's paid in time, not money. That's where the trade crossed the line. It's not age, it's interest. So what does that mean for the guy who spent those years doing other things? Is it just over? Damage control from here? No. Most men have the wrong story about this. The window doesn't close because of how old you are. It closes because of how long you've gone without doing anything. Those are not the same thing. One of them you can't change. The other stopped the day you started. Men who had basically been sitting most of their adult lives, 6 months of real resistance training, came back with strength gains they didn't think were possible anymore. The window is not shut. What happened is that the debt piled up. Every year without the work, the starting line moved back. Most guys look at where they are now and figure that's just what getting older looks like. It isn't. It's what years of not doing much looks like. That's a different thing entirely. Debts can be paid. The body that's been ignored the longest has the most room to respond because it's been the most starved of what it needs. This isn't about your age, it's about the input. And here's what makes that matter. The same way neglect compounds against you, effort compounds for you the moment you start. Every week of real work makes the next week more productive. The starting line moves forward. The cost of progress comes down. And the days start to feel different. Not overnight, not all at once, but the morning stops being a negotiation. The things you used to plan around stop requiring a plan. The trip becomes something you book instead of something you talk yourself out of. That's the whole texture of your life moving in a different direction. Seneca understood this, and for him, it wasn't a theory. He was writing to his friend Lucilius near the end of a life that ran shorter than he'd expected. Years inside the court of Nero, going along, surviving, trading his time for what felt necessary in the moment. Recede in te ipse quantum potes. Pull back into yourself as much as you can. He wasn't writing from somewhere comfortable with plenty of time left. He was doing the work of getting back what those years had cost him, with whatever he had left. He didn't wait for things to settle down. He started in the middle of the mess. Your body is in debt, not done. The body does its best work during the years most men are doing everything else. That window isn't about a birthday. It's about what got put in and what didn't. The gap is real, it compounds, and it doesn't just show up in the account. It shows up in every ordinary day. Money buys treatment. It doesn't buy back the years that weren't invested. Surgery has a ceiling, and what's below that ceiling isn't some abstract number. It's the trip you didn't take, the game you sat out, the morning that started with negotiation instead of just getting up and going. The window isn't closed by age. It's closed by letting too much time go by without doing anything. Those are not the same thing. The suffering that comes from letting the body go, the slow shrinking of what feels possible, that's not just what happens. For most men, it was a choice they didn't know they were making. It still is. The debt stops growing the day you make a payment. Seneca didn't wait for the right moment. He knew he had less time than he'd planned for, and he started anyway, right where he was. That's not inspiration, that's the play. One thing to sit with before you move on. Not a goal, not a program. What's one thing your body used to do that it can't do as well today, that you've quietly accepted as just how it is now? Because most of it isn't. Stay in formation.